Hey everybody, Joe Vizio here. You know what time it is, right? So here we go. Today, I guess I'll talk about a different hodgepodge of different things. Kind of might be all over the map a little bit. I've been inspired by some of you all, what you've been talking about. And, I got a pretty decent drive. So, I might talk your ear off, huh? Until my wife calls and interrupts. But, we'll see. So, I was listening to Michelle from Breaking the Chain. And, she was talking about codependency a little bit. And this is kind of where I get the inspiration from this, for this. And, a lot of us couldn't help but have that whole codependency, to have abandonment issues. When you come into this world, the people that are supposed to make the most sense, the people that we're supposed to look for that protection and guidance and all that, they were some pretty fucked up people. And by what we've seen throughout our lives, kind of helps to dictate how we are going to be through some of our adult relationships. So if you go through some of that codependency, and I have a feeling that we all do, there's reasons behind it. There's reasons why we are like that. I know in my young adult years, I would always take breakups really hard. Probably harder than what maybe some other people would, or maybe I just feel that way because it was me and I was feeling that. But looking back, I can see that I had abandonment issues. I can see that it wasn't so much that my relationship with so-and-so didn't work out. It was more that I felt like, well, I wasn't good enough again. I did something again. So, it kind of rolls downhill from there, So, how do we get around that? How do we get around feeling like that? It's not something that we can say, okay, well, just don't feel that way anymore and everything will be good. It's just, again, let's go back to the smoking. It's kind of like telling a 20-year smoking, well, just put down the cigarettes and you'll be okay. It doesn't kind of work that way. So, how do we get around things like that? I had a time that I had gotten out of a relationship, and it was kind of ugly, the things that happened. I had just turned 21 years old. And I was in a pretty lost place. I was in a position where I felt like, I had nowhere to go. And even when I asked my father if I could come and stay with him, it was more of a, I guess, yeah, let me talk to my girlfriend first. That was from my father. So, and I understand, he was a free person living his kid-free life, and, I guess he didn't need his son muscling in, but I just, I think either any of my kids, any of the three of them, if at some time in their adulthood and they said, Dad, come on, it's, without question. It's not as if that you are bringing an unruly teenager back into your house. You're bringing an adult that's more than likely licking their wounds, and and I understand that there are some circumstances that may warrant you to think about something like that. Let's just say that I was coming off of a bad drug addiction. Dad, I need to stay with my father. Were to say, I got to think about this. I could understand, because sometimes people, especially when they have not kicked a habit or have not gone into any kind of a rehab or anything like that, you run the risk of them stealing your stuff to buy crack or whatever their drug of choice is, and the frustration and just the sheer pain of watching your child destroy themselves by putting a poison into their body. But this wasn't the case. This wasn't the case with my father. And as long as that wasn't the case with any of my children, yeah, come on back and lick your wounds a little bit. Maybe this time, I understand when you were a teenager, you thought that you knew everything, but now you don't. Life has just kicked your ass. Now maybe you're willing to learn a little bit. I was not extended that opportunity. I actually got thrown out within, I want to say, 2 months. 2 months of me staying there and working 2 jobs. I don't even think it was that long. And I'm saying 2 months, and I think I'm being generous. I was thrown out. I was thrown out because my father's girlfriend thought that I may be listening to them having sex. I may have my ear up at the door while I'm jerking off, listening to them two have sex. I was bounced. And I made a video about this. I made a couple videos about this. And this kind of really starts to dip into one of the darkest parts of my life. Which actually, once I was able to emerge through that dark part of my life, and there's a video called The Somebody That Saved My Life. And let me tell you something, this person literally saved my life. There's part of it in there, and there was, I forget what the other one was, but I made a video about having to go back to my father's place a couple times. It's, once I get through that dark place, there is a tremendous light at the end of the tunnel, where I actually start to enjoy my first times living for myself. living thinking that I myself am good enough. I don't need a second half. And then I ended up just falling right back into that same old codependency, blah, 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 blah. But I had that little bit of time to where I could enjoy that. And Michelle from Breaking the Chain even speaks of that herself. This is where I can really relate with that there. I too, had my own apartment, my own rules, my own thing. That was my couch I was breaking wind into. That was my TV I was watching. That was my apartment to walk naked across. And I enjoyed that time. But from the time leading up to that, when I was actually living with this person that literally saved my life, I went like 100% like abstinent. I was not seeing anybody. I was not doing anything. I was not going to clubs to pick up a little one-night stand plate. Nothing. I said, you know what? This is time where I need to learn how to control my own life. And the hardest part about that was all my friends that were breaking my balls that I wasn't out picking up girls. And, you know, all in good fun. You know, I can't tell you how many times that, God forbid, one of my friends comes over my house and sees a bottle of cooking oil. Hey, Joe, what are you doing with this? I was the hardest part about that. That your friends, your guy friends, well, even the female friends I had were really breaking my balls about that. And I can't tell you how many of these girls wanted to fix me up with one of their friends, and I was just like, you know what? I think I'm good. I think I need to learn how to love myself. Not in a cooking oil kind of way, but you know what I'm saying. Just learn how to accept myself as a good person. But as I said, I did fall right back into it. There was a time when I was at work and was the brother of the owner of this company that I worked for, and he was actually a pretty good friend. And I had just said to him, I said, you know what, Phil? I think it's time Joe goes out and finds a little egg. And then everything just come crashing down again. That's around the time that I met my first wife, and although a lot of good things come out of it, there was a lot of bad to come out of that as well. Which just kind of, I guess, set me into another downward spiral. Not as bad as the first, but I'm still alive and still pushing through. And the thing is, stories like this, we all have a million of them. We all have a story. We've all been through something similar. This story's mine, and I own it. I own up to it. And you know what? There's not much in there that I can say that I'm ashamed of. because good or bad, there was a learning experience involved. There's something that I can look back on and pull a lesson from it. My father told me that I had to leave, and he said it in a joking fashion. He said, hey man, you gotta get out, man. My girlfriend ain't putting out. She thinks you can hear us, man. Yeah, all right, yeah, Dad, I'll start working on it. I was working 2 jobs. I was cleaning restaurants at night, 3rd shift, 11 to 7. And by 8 o'clock in the morning, I was over at an apartment complex. It's a maintenance, do-boy, janitor. I mean, I did a little bit of everything. One day I came home from both of my jobs looking for nothing more than to just lay down in the bed and go to sleep. It was on a Saturday because the one job was 7 days a week and the other job was 6 days a week. It was on a Saturday. I had just come home, so my father was home, and as soon as I opened the door, hey man, did you find an apartment yet? I was a little aggravated. Yeah, man, no, I didn't find one, but I'm looking. And he stood up on that couch, and he come over and he grabbed me by my hair. And mind you, I'm 21 years old. He grabbed me by my hair, he pulled my head back, he said, you get the fuck out now. Just that the teeth showing. And he let go of my hair and he says, you got 3 days. That's where the biggest, darkest downward spiral I had ever experienced in my life started to take place. So, don't be ashamed of what you went through or even what you are going through. Don't be ashamed of it. We were always taught to be ashamed. Don't be ashamed of it. Own it. Own up to what you're doing. Own up to what is happening. But fix it. Realize and understand what is happening to you, what is happening around you, and fix it. That's the only thing that you can do. Don't be ashamed. Especially here. Don't be ashamed here. You are amongst your peers. We are all people that have been through it. We are all people that can admit that we have been through it. And we can stand in front of each other with non-judgmental eyes. I get this song that I listen to, and one of the lines in there says, no need to feel like a stranger because we're all a little strange in here. Own it, man. Own it, grab it, harness whatever power you can from it, and move on. Ride the lightning, baby. And that is sometimes the best way to give your narcs the best and most sincere that you can give them. I am successful, or I am on my way to being successful, and I didn't even have the need to tell you about it, Mr. or Mrs. Narc, because I don't give a shit about you. If you find out about my success, it is because you are either intruding on my privacy, you are in some form stalking something that I'm doing, or you are sending flying monkeys or whispering to people trying to find information out about me. Because I am not volunteering any of this information to you. So, moving on a little bit. Another quick inspiration, and this came from Narcissistic Web, where she was, talking about some of the things that these narcs say to us. And again, this hit home. I've talked about this. And I know that we've all been threatened by our parents. I mean, it's something common. I think every parent has to tell their kid, I'm going to stick my foot up your ass, or something to that effect. That happens. Sometimes when you can say a little threat like that, it might help to get attention. It happens. It happens that I don't think that there is a man out there that has not been jacked up by his father. And sometimes, maybe your father has a good reason to jack you up. He's got a good reason to grab you by your shirt and put you up against the wall and say, hey, you listen to me, you little shit. Because we know as teenagers and think we could be a little smart-assed. We're starting to, grow a little balls, even the females. As I could say, a man starting to feel that testosterone, the woman starting to get that estrogen flow going and get that attitude. But some of our parents did this excessively. Some of our parents did this for the enjoyment. Some of our parents did it to purposefully be as threatening as they possibly could. And the problem with that is, a lot of us grew up thinking that was normal. That is not normal. It is not normal for your parents to talk to you the way that they did. It's not normal for your parents to tell you that they wish that you weren't born. It's not normal for your parents to spew out a string of threats that is all promising to end your life or do physical damage to you. This isn't normal. As the example that Narcissistic Web gave, when her mother is telling her, I will destroy you. I mean, do you know what that means? Do you really know what it means to look at somebody and say, I will destroy you? If you don't know what that means, then you have no business using that. That's some serious shit. As I said, my father was the absolute king of the threat. And his was more of a narcissistic supply. It wasn't about teaching me something. It wasn't about teaching me respect. It was about teaching me that I am beneath him. I do not matter. I can be erased. I'm going to poke your eyes out of your head. I'm going to smack your teeth down your throat. I'm going to knock your teeth out of your head. You're going to be picking up your teeth with a broken arm. I'm going to cram my foot so far up your ass that you're going to shine my shoe when you brush your teeth. I'm going to knock your head off of your shoulders. I'm going to rip your esophagus out and hang you with it. I'm going to smack the taste out of your mouth. I'm going to rip your heart out of your chest and stomp on it. Don't forget that part. That's a pretty big... So, these are not normal. Normal parents don't do this. Normal parents, like I said, may occasionally have to resort to some sort of a threat. I'm going to stick my foot up your ass is usually, a common one. I've always, thought it funny that the association or the obsession that people have with sticking things up other people's asses. I can't tell you how many objects that I was using or misusing that was going to get shoved up my ass. Got a pen and I'm banging the pen on the table. I'm going to stick that pen right up your ass if you don't... I guess just sometimes when you sit and you think about that, it always gave me a chuckle. Especially when, you actually think about the act of doing it. Turn that radio down or I'm going to stick it up your ass. That's going to hurt, man. I don't... But it's not normal. It is not normal. And we have to get that idea out of our head that it was normal. That it was acceptable. I really, but at the times before I stopped talking to my father, I used to tell him, maybe I needed some of that I got from you. Maybe some of the things that you did is what kept me straight. And I actually used to give him credit. And there was a couple things going on there. There was the codependency that I didn't want to be on the outside looking in, waiting for that curtain to close on me. So I'm kind of towing the line and giving my father a pass on the things that he did, and me excusing it by saying, some of that was helpful to me because I didn't have a self-esteem. Well, I had a self-esteem. It was a low self-esteem. I didn't hold much value in myself at all. So everything that he did, I thought that I deserved it. I really did. I really thought that I deserved that. My daughter's 5 years old. I think in those 5 years, she has maybe gotten 1 or 2 whops on the butt from me. By the time I was 5 years old, I had already learned a fear of my father. I had already preferred to be in my mother's presence over my father's because my mother wouldn't hit me the way that my father would. My mother hit me, but my mother didn't hit me the way my father did. My mother had to be pushed. My mother had to be pushed to that limit. My father, boom, one and you're done. It's not normal. And to reiterate, do not feel ashamed by what is going on. unless you are doing something that you know is truly shameful, then shame on you. But don't be ashamed of what happened to you. Don't be ashamed because you are dealing with the effects of what has happened to you. Especially now. Because if you're on here and you're watching anybody's videos and you're making videos, then you are actually trying to do something to overcome what you have been through. You have recognized that there is a problem. And you are trying to take the steps to go through that problem. So there is no shame on you. And when I say if you're doing something that truly, you should be shamed, I mean, if you're out drowning bags of puppies or something like that, okay, shame on you, but I don't think any of us are doing that. I don't think any of us are doing anything intentionally to hurt anybody. And if we do hurt somebody, it's definitely just collateral damage from what we are doing to ourselves. And I firmly believe that. So guys, I'm getting close over here. This is a 31-minute video, 32-minute video. So yeah, this kind of going to be a long one. I don't know when this phone's going to shut down because I know I'm running out of hard drive space. I'm surprised my wife hasn't called already. So I'm going to beat everybody to the punch and shut this down. I hope you enjoy it. I hope that you can, there's a lesson in here that you can connect with. And keep doing what you're doing. And I've said this before, and you can even see this in that Michelle Breaking the Chain video where she's talking about you sitting down in front of the camera and telling your story. Even if you don't publish it, tell your story to the camera, watch it back a few times, and just, if you do that, come on here and tell me how you feel after you've watched 3 or 4 of your videos a few times. And tell me how you feel. Don't give a crap of what you look like or anything like that. I mean, look at me. Look at me. So, keep that in mind, guys. Do what you got to do, and I thank you.